The ripples of the recent Glasgow derby are still being felt across the east end of the city and beyond as the Parkhead faithful continue to bask in the glow of what was a truly significant victory. It was a performance that answered many questions, but also raised new ones regarding the tactical decisions made by the manager Martin O'Neill. One of the primary talking points that emerged from the clash this past Monday involves the Japanese midfield maestro Reo Hatate. While the celebrations were loud and the atmosphere electric, a certain former Rangers striker turned pundit, Chris Boyd, decided to offer a perspective that has certainly ruffled a few feathers among the green and white army. Chris Boyd suggested that the Celtic supporters had been on the back of Reo Hatate in the lead-up to the match at Ibrox, claiming that there was a sense of frustration building around the player. However, if there was any truth to the idea that Reo Hatate had something to prove, he certainly provided the perfect response on the pitch. The way Reo Hatate conducted himself during that high-pressure encounter was nothing short of exemplary. He showed the vision, the composure, and the technical ability that has made him a fan favorite since he first arrived in the East End. For Chris Boyd to suggest that the fans were losing patience seems like a classic case of trying to stir the pot after a dominant Celtic display. The reality is that the Parkhead faithful understand the quality Reo Hatate brings to the team, and while every player goes through periods of varying form, his importance to the system implemented by Martin O'Neill cannot be overstated. He was the heartbeat of the midfield, alongside the ever-reliable captain Callum McGregor. I will dive deeper into the specific tactical instructions that Martin O'Neill gave to the midfield unit in just a moment. But first, we must acknowledge how Reo Hatate silenced his critics with a performance of pure class. Reo Hatate did more than just pass the ball well. He dictated the tempo of the game and found spaces that the opposition simply could not close down. When you look at the goal he scored, it was a culmination of everything he offers. The movement to find the pocket of space, the first touch to set himself, and the clinical finish that left the goalkeeper with no chance. It was a moment of magic that sent the traveling supporters into a frenzy. It is quite interesting to hear pundits like Chris Boyd focus on perceived negativity when the evidence on the pitch suggests a player who is completely in tune with his teammates and his manager. Reo Hatate has always been a player who thrives on the big occasion, and there is no occasion bigger in the Scottish Premiership than a trip to Ibrox. The performance of the midfield was particularly impressive when you consider the selection dilemmas facing Martin O'Neill prior to kick-off. There had been much discussion throughout the week leading up to the game about who would occupy the roles alongside Callum McGregor. One man who has been a constant source of debate is the former Liverpool and Arsenal man, Alex Oxlade Chamberlain. The inclusion of Alex Oxlade Chamberlain was a move that surprised many, including legendary Celtic goalkeeper Pat Bonner. Pat Bonner expressed his astonishment that a certain player who had been a hero during the recent European exploits against Stuttgart was left on the bench in favor of the experienced Englishman. This selection choice by Martin O'Neill highlights the incredible depth within the current Celtic squad, but it also highlights the ruthless nature of management at a club of this stature. Pat Bonner was vocal about his surprise, noting that the player who performed so well in the Champions League against Stuttgart had surely done enough to earn a starting spot in the Glasgow derby. The decision to drop a player in peak form for a big game is always a gamble. Yet Martin O'Neill clearly felt that the experience and physical presence of Alex Oxlade Chamberlain would be vital in the cauldron of Ibrox. Alex Oxlade Chamberlain brings a different dimension to the side with his ability to drive forward from deep and his understanding of high-level tactical battles. However, the debate remains, did the manager make the right call? While the result suggests he did, the comments from Pat Bonner remind us that the competition for places in this Celtic squad is fiercer than it has been for a long time. Looking at the squad list, we see a blend of youthful exuberance and seasoned professionals. In the goalkeeping department, Kasper Schmeichel has brought a wealth of experience and a winning mentality that filters down through the entire defensive line. Ahead of him, the likes of Alistair Johnston and Cameron Carter-Vickers have formed a formidable partnership that provides the platform for the creative players to shine. When you have players of the caliber of Liam Scales and Austin Trusty ready to step in, it gives Martin O'Neill the tactical flexibility he needs to navigate a long and demanding season. I will examine the defensive statistics from the Monday match and what they mean for the upcoming fixtures in a few minutes. But first, we have to talk about the viral moment that has every Celtic fan smiling. During the celebrations of Reo Hatate's stunning goal, the Celtic unique angle cameras captured a moment that perfectly encapsulates the passion and the rivalry of this fixture. The footage shows Julian Araujo, the Mexican international defender, engaging in some light-hearted trolling of the Rangers supporters. As the ball hit the back of the net and the Celtic players converged to celebrate, Julian Araujo was seen gesturing towards the home stands, clearly enjoying the silence that had fallen over the Ibrox faithful. It is the kind of moment that endears a player to the supporters instantly. Julian Araujo may be a relatively new face in the green and white, but he clearly understands what this match means to the people of Glasgow. The unique angle footage provides a perspective that you simply do not get from the standard television broadcast. You see the raw emotion, the intensity, and the sheer joy of the players as they realize they have taken a massive step towards another 3 points. Julian Araujo's antics have been widely shared across social media, with fans praising his spirit and his willingness to embrace the atmosphere of the derby. It shows a player who is not intimidated by the hostile environment, but rather one who feeds off it. This kind of mentality is exactly what Martin O'Neill looks for in his players. He wants individuals who are brave, not just on the ball, but in their character. While Julian Araujo was enjoying the moment, the tactical side of the game was still unfolding. The way Celtic managed the game after taking the lead was a testament to the work done on the training pitch. There has been a lot of talk about the quality of goals scored in recent derbies, and one particular goal from the opposition has been receiving a lot of attention in the media. Youssef Chermidy's strike for Rangers was certainly a well-taken goal, but many within the Celtic circles are quick to point out that the Hoops have scored even better ones against their rivals in recent times. The debate over which goal carries more technical weight is one that will likely go on for weeks. When you compare the movement and the collective team play involved in Celtic's goals to the individual effort of Youssef Chermity, there is a clear distinction. Celtic's goals under Martin O'Neill often come from intricate passing sequences and a high press that forces the opposition into mistakes. The goal scored by Reo Hatate on Monday was a perfect example of this. It was not just about the finish, it was about the 20 passes that preceded it. It was about the way Dyson Maeda stretched the play on the wing and the way Kelechi Iheanacho occupied the central defenders to create the space for the midfield runners. This is the hallmark of a team that is well coached and firing on all cylinders. I will discuss the future role of Kelechi Iheanacho in this system and whether he can become the primary goal scorer the fans crave. But before that, let us return to the comments made by Pat Bonner regarding the team selection. Pat Bonner is a man who knows a thing or two about what it takes to win at the highest level with Celtic. His confusion over the exclusion of the Stuttgart hero, likely referring to the energy and tactical discipline shown by Paulo Bernardo or perhaps Arne Engels in that European tie, is understandable. Paulo Bernardo has been a revelation at times, showing a level of maturity beyond his years. For him to be moved to the bench for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain shows that Martin O'Neill is prioritizing tactical solidity and experience for these high-stakes domestic games. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's performance on Monday was one of industry and intelligence. He might not have the same youthful burst as some of the other options, but his positioning was crucial in stopping Rangers from building any momentum through the middle of the pitch. He worked tirelessly to support Alistair Johnston on the right flank, ensuring that the opposition's wide players were doubled up on at every opportunity. This defensive diligence is often overlooked by the casual observer, but for a manager like Martin O'Neill, it is the foundation upon which victories are built. The fact that Celtic can leave players who are performing at a Champions League level on the bench is a luxury that few other clubs can afford. The squad depth extends into the forward line as well. While Jota continues to be the talismanic figure on the wing, the contributions of players like Junior Adamu and Michel-Ange Balikwisha cannot be ignored. Even James Forrest, the veteran of many such battles, remains a vital option off the bench. The competition for starting spots means that no player can afford to have an off day. If Reo Hatate or Callum McGregor were to drop their levels, there are players like Luke McCowan and Benjamin Nygren waiting in the wings to prove their worth. This internal competition is driving the standards higher every single week. Returning to the topic of Reo Hatate and the criticism from Chris Boyd, it is worth looking at the statistics from this past Monday. Reo Hatate had a pass completion rate of over 90% in the final third. He created 4 clear-cut chances and recovered the ball 7 times in the opposition half. These are not the numbers of a player whose fans are on his back. These are the numbers of a player who is at the very top of his game. The Parkhead faithful are astute judges of a player's contribution, and the standing ovation Reo Hatate received when he was substituted late in the game told its own story. Chris Boyd may have been watching a different game, or perhaps he was simply trying to find a narrative that favored his own allegiances. The narrative of the season is now shifting towards the final stretch of the Scottish Premiership. With this victory, Celtic have put themselves in a commanding position, but there is no room for complacency. President Brian Wilson has spoken recently about the long-term vision for the club, emphasizing the need for continued investment in the squad and the facilities. The arrival of players like Julian Araujo and Austin Trusty shows a commitment to bringing in international talent that can handle the pressures of playing for the biggest club in Scotland. The fact that these players are already making an impact in the Glasgow derby is a huge positive for the recruitment team. I am going to talk about the potential return of Kieran Tierney to the starting 11 and what that would mean for the defensive balance in a moment. But first, let us look back at that unique angle footage of the goal celebration. What was particularly interesting was the reaction of the other players to Julian Araujo's trolling. There is a real sense of camaraderie in this group. You see Cameron Carter-Vickers and Liam Scales laughing along, showing that the team spirit is at an all-time high. This bond is what carries teams through the difficult moments of a season. When you are under pressure at Ibrox and the crowd is screaming, you need to know that the man standing next to you has your back. The atmosphere in the dressing room under Martin O'Neill is said to be one of absolute focus and mutual respect. Martin O'Neill is a master motivator who knows how to get the best out of both the young prospects and the established stars. His decision to stick with Kasper Schmeichel as the undisputed number 1 has provided a level of leadership that was perhaps missing in previous seasons. Kasper Schmeichel's ability to organize the defense and his calmness under pressure were vital on Monday, especially in the opening 20 minutes when Rangers tried to impose themselves on the game. The defensive unit as a whole deserves immense credit. Alistair Johnston has become a cult hero among the Hoops fans for his tenacious tackling and his never-say-die attitude. On Monday, he was once again a wall on the right side, limiting the effectiveness of the opposition's attacks. Marcelo Siraki and Anthony Ralston have also provided excellent cover when called upon, ensuring that the intensity remains the same regardless of who is on the pitch. The arrival of Benjamin Arthur and the development of youngsters like Dane Murray and Colby Donovan suggest that the future of the Celtic defense is in safe hands. One player who continues to intrigue the supporters is the forward Tomasz Cvanchara. While he did not get on the scoresheet this past Monday, his work rate and his ability to hold the ball up allowed the likes of Jota and Dyson Maida to join the attack. The tactical role he plays is often selfless, creating the space for others to thrive. Martin O'Neill has spoken highly of his tactical intelligence and his importance to the team's structure. However, there is always a demand for goals at Celtic, and Tomasz Cvanchara will be keen to add to his tally in the coming weeks. As we look ahead to the next set of fixtures, the focus will remain on the midfield battle. The question for Martin O'Neill will be whether to persist with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain or to bring back the players who Pat Bonner felt were harshly treated by being left out. The rotation of the squad will be key as the fixtures pile up in both the Scottish Premiership and the latter stages of the Cup competitions. Having a player of Reo Hatate's quality in the form he showed on Monday is a massive boost. He is a player who can unlock any defense with a single pass, and his partnership with Callum McGregor is arguably the best in the country. I will discuss the impact of the summer transfer window projections and which areas Brian Wilson might look to strengthen next in a few minutes. But first, let us consider the wider implications of Monday's result. Winning at Ibrox is always more than just 3 points. It is a psychological blow to your nearest rivals and a statement of intent to the rest of the league. The way Celtic dominated large portions of the match showed a level of superiority that must be demoralizing for the opposition. Even when Rangers managed to score through Youssef Chermiti, there was never a sense that Celtic would buckle under the pressure. The maturity shown by the players was excellent. In previous years, a goal against the run of play might have led to a period of panic, but this team, under the guidance of Martin O'Neill, remained composed. They stuck to the game plan, kept possession of the ball, and eventually found the winner. This mental toughness is a hallmark of a championship-winning side. The influence of senior players like James Forrest and Callum McGregor cannot be overstated in these moments. They have been there and done it all before, and they know exactly how to manage the closing stages of a derby. The controversy surrounding Chris Boyd's comments serves as a reminder that the media will always look for cracks in the Celtic wall. However, the bond between the team and the Parkhead faithful has rarely been stronger. The fans recognize the effort and the quality being put forth by this group of players. Whether it is Reo Hatate silencing his critics or Julian Araujo showing his passion in front of the away end, there is a clear connection that is driving the club forward. The unique angle footage provided by the club's media team is a brilliant way for fans to feel even closer to that action, capturing the moments that define a season. When we talk about the best goals scored in these fixtures, it is important to remember the context. A goal is not just about the technical execution, it is about the importance of the moment. While Youssef Chermiti's goal was a good individual effort, the team goals produced by Celtic on Monday were a masterclass in modern football. The movement of the front three, the overlapping runs from the full-backs, and the precision of the passing through the midfield are all elements that Martin O'Neill has refined since taking over. The Hoops are playing a brand of football that is both attractive to watch and devastatingly effective. I will move on to the performance of our young prospects like Callum Osmond and Sebastian Tunekti in a moment, but we must first address the goalkeeping situation again. Kasper Schmeichel's arrival was met with some debate due to his age, but he has proven all the doubters wrong. His distribution has been a key part of how Celtic build from the back, often finding Alistair Johnston or Kieran Tierney with long, accurate passes that bypass the opposition's press. Having a goalkeeper who is so comfortable with the ball at his feet allows the defenders to push higher up the pitch, knowing that Kasper Schmeichel can sweep up behind them if needed. The role of the president, Brian Wilson, has also been crucial in this period of stability. By providing the necessary backing for Martin O'Neill to bring in his preferred targets, Brian Wilson has ensured that the club remains the dominant force in Scottish football. The recruitment of players like Michel-Ange Balikwisha and Hyunjun Yang shows a scouting network that is looking across the globe for the best talent. These players bring different styles and backgrounds to the squad, making Celtic a very difficult team to prepare for. Looking back at the news from earlier this week, the praise for Reo Hatate has been universal among the Celtic support. Despite what Chris Boyd might claim, the fans know exactly what they have in the Japanese international. He is a special talent who elevates the level of everyone around him. His ability to turn a game on its head in a matter of seconds is a rare gift. As we move towards the business end of the season, his fitness and form will be vital. The management of his minutes by Martin O'Neill will be something to watch, as the manager will want him fresh for the biggest games. The story of Julian Araujo trolling the fans is just one example of the character within this squad. It is a group that enjoys playing together and enjoys winning for the supporters. The unique angle videos will continue to be a hit with the Green and White Army, providing that behind-the-scenes look at the celebrations. It is these small details that make the matchday experience so special for the fans, even for those who cannot be at the stadium in person. The passion of the players is a reflection of the passion in the stands, creating a powerful synergy that is hard to beat. I will analyze the tactical shift we might see in the next home match at Parkhead in a few minutes, but first, we must give credit to the technical staff. Martin O'Neill has surrounded himself with a team that shares his vision for the club. The coaching sessions at Lennoxtown are clearly paying off, with the players showing a deep understanding of their roles and responsibilities. The defensive organization has improved significantly, and the attacking transitions are faster and more precise than they were at the start of the campaign. The depth of the squad is further highlighted by the presence of players like Paulo Bernardo and Luke McCowan, who are pushing for starting spots every single day. Paulo Bernardo in particular has shown that he can perform on the biggest stage. His performance against Stuttgart was a highlight of the season so far, and while he may have been disappointed to miss out on a starting spot on Monday, his attitude has remained professional. He knows that his time will come again, and he will be ready to seize the opportunity when it does. The competition for places is a healthy problem for any manager to have. It keeps the players on their toes and ensures that no one becomes comfortable. Oxlade Chamberlain's inclusion on Monday was a tactical choice that paid dividends, but it also served as a reminder to the rest of the midfield that no one's place is guaranteed. This level of accountability is what builds a winning culture. Martin O'Neill has created an environment where performance is the only currency that matters. As we look at the goal comparison again, it is clear that Celtic's philosophy is based on collective success rather than individual brilliance alone. While players like Jota and Reo Hatate are capable of moments of magic, those moments are often the result of the hard work done by the rest of the team. The way the team celebrated together after each goal on Monday showed a unit that is united in its goal of bringing more silverware to the East End. The fans can see this unity, and it only strengthens their support for the manager and the players. In the coming weeks, we will see how the squad handles the pressure of the title race. With a healthy lead at the top of the Scottish Premiership, the task now is to maintain the standards that have been set. Every game will be a challenge, as teams will look to sit deep and frustrate the hoops. However, with the creative talent of Reo Hatate, the leadership of Callum McGregor, and the tactical brilliance of Martin O'Neill, there is every reason to be optimistic about the future. The discussion about team selection and the comments from Pat Bonner and Chris Boyd will continue to provide talking points for the media, but the focus inside the club will be on the next game. The players will be back on the training pitch, working on the areas that need improvement and preparing for the next battle. The Glasgow Derby win was a great moment, but in the world of professional football, you are only as good as your next result. I will wrap up this analysis by looking at the impact of the fans on the team's performance, but before that, let us think about the players who have yet to make their mark this season. Players like Joel Mvuka and Sebastian Tunekti have shown flashes of their potential in training and in limited first-team appearances. If they can continue to develop under the guidance of Martin O'Neill, they could become important assets for the club in the years to come. The future of Celtic looks bright, both in terms of the current squad and the talent coming through the ranks. The win on Monday was a collective effort that showcased the best of Celtic Football Club. From the tactical decisions of Martin O'Neill to the individual brilliance of Reo Hatate and the passionate celebrations of Julian Araujo, it was a day to remember for everyone associated with the green and white. The critics can say what they want, but the results on the pitch speak for themselves. The Hoops are a team on a mission, and they show no signs of slowing down. Thank you for being part of this deep dive into the latest Celtic news and tactical analysis. Your support means everything to us here at the channel. If you enjoyed this detailed breakdown and want to stay up to date with everything happening at Parkhead, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update on the boys. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on Reo Hatate's performance or the selection of Oxlade Chamberlain over our Stuttgart hero. We love hearing from the Green and White Army, and we'll be back very soon with more exclusive content and news. Subscribe now to join our growing community of Celtic supporters and keep the conversation going.